When the survival of the universe is at stake, the Supreme Protector reaches for his weapons. But in the most critical moment of Hindu mythology, Vishnu chose a different path, shedding his warrior form for that of a graceful woman. This is the deity's standard presence. He carries a cosmic arsenal, the Sudarshana chakra and the conch shell, capable of ending any war with a single strike. He deliberately set this power aside. The crisis began with the Samudra Manthan. To save the universe from decay, the gods and their bitterest enemies, the Asuras, had to churn the cosmic ocean for the nectar of immortality. It was a massive and fragile collaboration. But there was a problem. If either side attacked the other during the process, the mountain they were using as a churn would sink, and the nectar would be lost to the depths forever. A direct battle was a recipe for mutual destruction. They used Mount Mandara as the central axis, and the Serpent King Vasuki as a rope. They pulled until the heat of the friction and the strain of the mountain threatened to tear the world apart. The churning first produced a lethal black toxin called Hala Hala. It was so potent it began to dissolve reality, and was only stopped when Lord Shiva consumed it, holding the poison in his throat to protect all living things. Once the danger passed, the ocean began to yield its treasures. Divine horses, celestial elephants, and the radiant goddess Lakshmi emerged from the foam. Then the ultimate prize appeared, the Amrita Kalasha, the vessel containing the nectar of immortality. The moment it surfaced, the truce evaporated. The Asuras used their superior physical strength to shove the gods aside and seize the pot, claiming the nectar as their own. The stakes were now absolute. If the Asuras drank the nectar, they would become invincible, and the rule of Dharma, the righteous order of the world, would be extinguished for eternity. Vishnu observed the Asuras in their moment of triumph. He saw that while they were physically dominant, they were governed by their impulses and their pride. He decided to give them exactly what they wanted to see. He manifested as Mohini. This stone carving captures the detail of that form, an enchanting presence that stopped the demons mid-celebration. They were so captivated that they forgot their plans of war. She approached them not as an enemy, but as a mediator. She convinced the Asuras that she could divide the nectar fairly, and they were so entranced that they sat in a line, waiting for her command. They were so focused on her that they didn't notice the deception. Mohini began serving the nectar, but she only gave it to the gods, while the Asuras sat patiently, handing over their only chance at immortality to follow her lead. The very desires that the Asuras celebrated became the chains that bound them. They lost the universe because they could not look past the immediate distraction in front of them. However, the illusion was not perfect. One Asura named Rahu kept his focus on the nectar rather than the avatar. Rahu disguised himself as a god and slipped into their line. He managed to take a single sip, and for a moment, it seemed like the divine plan had failed. But the sun and moon were watching. They alerted Vishnu that an intruder had tasted the nectar. Before the nectar could reach Rahu's stomach, Vishnu summoned his chakra. It flew with such speed that it decapitated Rahu in an instant. Because the nectar had touched his lips, Rahu's head became immortal, even as his body died. He spent the rest of eternity chasing the sun and moon in revenge, a cycle that creates the shadow we call an eclipse. While the illusion of Mohini created the opening, the survival of the gods still required this final decisive act of force to close the loop. Vishnu's transformation into Mohini allowed him to reclaim the nectar without a drop of blood being spilled by the Devas. It was the only path to a victory that didn't destroy the prize they were fighting for. The Asuras had the muscles to seize the vessel, but the Devas had the patience to follow a plan. One side was a slave to what it saw, the other was focused on the long-term balance of the world. Strength can win a battle, but it takes more than brawn to preserve the universe. It requires the wisdom to understand the enemy's nature and the restraint to wait for the right moment to strike. If you enjoyed this look into the layers of Hindu mythology, type Om Namo Narayanaya in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to join us for more deep dives into these ancient stories. Next time, we're looking at a different kind of transformation. Why did Vishnu have to become a terrifying half-man, half-lion hybrid just to defeat a single demon king? We'll see you in the next video.